Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Kirk Your Enthusiasm. I am joined on Tuesday afternoon by my longtime internet friend, Matej. How are you, buddy?
I'm well. I'm doing well, Kirk, and thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I've been a long-time listener, first-time interviewee, or
Well,
I guess.
It's funny because I probably talk to you once a week on some medium or another, but during the season, it's very hard to do these sorts of things, not only because of like basketball, but and for our American guests who haven't gathered yet, Matej is he's Slovenian and runs the Twitter account Matej Sport Info, and I will post links to both his YouTube page and where his podcast gets posted, though you might not understand it unless you understand Slovenian. So
Yeah.
we got together today. We've been kind of trying to figure out what, when we were going to post, and time keeps getting away from me now that the season's over and I'm a little tired. But a number of Mavs things happened last week, and then this week there is not really anything Maverick related. But next week, I believe the middle of the week starts the qualifying games for the is it the World Championship? Walk me through
World Cup.
World Cup. Okay, yes. Walk me through sort of what is happening with the Slovenian basketball team and what NBA elements that we Mavs fans should sort of be paying attention to. I.e., we know Luka is playing now, and we know, and I don't actually know this because I can't remember, is Goran playing? So why don't you walk us through what's happening with the Slovenian basketball team at least the next couple of weeks?
Goran is playing. He's playing his last two games with the national team. The last time he played for the national team was when Slovenia won Eurobasket. Now they are still the reigning champions, the defending champions in this year's Eurobasket. And Goran didn't sort of get his farewell game from the national team. I don't know if Mavs fans remember how emotional Dirk was at his last game for his national team. It's a big deal, and Goran is going to get it in his hometown arena. The game sold out in less than an hour. Much you had to be very lucky to get a ticket, clicking and refreshing the page.
Where is that game being played?
It's in Ljubljana against Croatia. So a couple of NBA players people are familiar with, Zubac and Bogdanovic, will play for Croatia. Both teams will be in almost with their full rosters, best possible rosters. So it's a neighbor country, Croatia and Slovenia neighbor each other, and always with those neighbor derbies, battles on the national level, whether it's basketball, football, soccer for American fans, or any other sport. Those games have a little extra in them, and you really get the crowd fired up. The fans are in it, the teams are in it. Uh, those are big games, and those
What
are
day is
going to
that
be.
on?
It's 30th of June. I'm
Okay,
not
so
yet
Thursday.
sure.
That would
Thursday, yeah.
be, yeah. So we're recording on Tuesday. This will probably go up. I'll probably post it a little later this afternoon. So if you're listening to this on your drive home from work, guys, you have about 8 days to figure out what means, and this is American fans, what means you can get to watch this World Cup qualifier versus Croatia. It'll probably be playing around early afternoon stateside time, I'm going to guess. What time is it
Early
in Croatia?
afternoon, yeah, sometime early afternoon, 2-3 o'clock, I think. Of course, it depends on where
Sure.
in U.S.
Where you
East
are,
Coast,
yeah.
West Coast, yeah. But sometime around then on the East Coast, I would say something like that. I'm not sure about how the game are being broadcasted in U.S.
That's what I mean. You got a week to sort of dig into the internet and find some, let's say, less than reputable streams.
Yeah, those options are definitely available. And if you just look a little bit around, you'll definitely find it. It's not that hard to find, and use an ad block. That's all I'm going to say.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So that in that game that's a real big. So that's one of two games Dragic and Doncic are going to play together. So it's like
Yeah,
is there more than one game at this point for the qualifier,
there
or
is.
is it just
There are two games being played in this qualifying window. FIBA has for each qualifying process, whether it's World Cup or Eurobasket, qualifying windows, which are open, no pun intended, during certain times of the year, even during NBA and EuroLeague season, which prevents, of course, NBA and EuroLeague players, the best players in the world, from participating in certain qualifying windows. But this one is, of course, at the end of June, beginning of July. So NBA and EuroLeague players can play and will play. Most of the rosters will have their NBA players, not all of them. Jokic, for instance, will play at the Eurobasket at the end of the summer, beginning of September, but he will not play in these qualifying windows that are coming up right now. There will be another qualifying window in August, again for World Cup. It's a complicated qualifying process, and I don't really want to get into the weeds of it because it is, but it's divided by groups, and after the first stage is finished, the first three teams in each group proceed to the second stage of 6 teams in each group, and 4 teams from each group, I believe, or 3 teams from each group qualify for the World Cup after that. So another qualifying window will be in August, right before the start of Eurobasket, and it's not yet clear whether Luka will be able to play in that qualifying window because FIBA and NBA have an agreement which allows NBA players, at least because of the insurance issues, to play 27, to spend 27 days with their national team. Active days, so either active workouts or official games, unofficial games too, but 27 days is the limit. So
per year
with Luka,
or per cycle? Is that like per year or per cycle?
Per year.
Okay.
Per year, per summer, basically.
Okay.
All of those big tournaments and qualifying windows where NBA players can play are in the summer. So it's each summer, early autumn, September as well. Some of the tournaments like Eurobasket is in September. So Luka will definitely play in Eurobasket, defending the title with Slovenia. It starts, I think last day of August, if I'm not
That's
mistaken,
what I remember.
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slovenia plays the first game, but the tournament then lasts for 2 weeks in the first half of September.
Really interesting. I want to circle back to Eurobasket in a second. So they played this first qualifier against Croatia on the 30th. Do you know what the second matchup is?
Sweden.
Oh, wow.
Sweden
Okay.
and Slovenia is traveling to Sweden, playing in Stockholm. The game's already also sold out, so FIBA is using Luka to promote basketball as well. I mean, of course, like that's the good thing about the NBA players being able to participate, because that's the only time most European
Right.
fans can actually see those players. And I heard like it was the same in Stockholm. The game was sold out in less than an hour, and I'm sure Luka was a big reason for that, because of course Swedish fans want to see one of the best players in the world. So 3 days after the game against Croatia, July 2nd, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
Slovenia plays Sweden in Sweden. Important games, two important games for Slovenia, because they do have to win both of them, not just to qualify for the second round, the second stage, but because the points carry over to the second stage, the points from the first stage. So the more points you get, the better ranked you are in the second stage, and the more chances you have to advance to qualify for the World Cup. So those are really two crucial games, because Slovenia lost the previous two games against Finland, with some of their best players missing, but that's the reality of those qualifiers which are played during the NBA and EuroLeague seasons, and that's a big point of debate and arguments in Europe as well, because EuroLeague, the best league in Europe, and FIBA as the international federation, which governs, of course, World Cups, Olympics, and all of those Eurobasket, Copa America, all of those regional competitions. But FIBA and EuroLeague are in dispute, in an argument for years now, and certainly that's a big problem for European basketball in general. But the way the facts qualifiers is that's a lot. Most of the qualifying windows are actually in December, January, February, during seasons, and of course EuroLeague. Not just NBA teams, EuroLeague teams don't care about FIBA schedule, the schedule that they changed a few years ago. And that's why Slovenia didn't qualify for last World Cup, because they were missing, like, I think they're starting five from Eurobasket during the qualifiers after that, because they couldn't play because of this argument. So those two games at the end of June with Luka and Goran playing are two really big games, huge games, must-win games. And international basketball, FIBA basketball, is different than NBA. It is in some ways more unpredictable, in many ways, like Luka already said, harder to score because of many reasons, more physical than the NBA game now, more contact allowed. And especially the Eurobasket among European teams, really usually, and with derbies like against Croatia, I do expect like it's gonna get heated. It's definitely gonna get heated. I expect on court as well, because those games do matter a lot. And like I said, must-win games for Slovenia.
There's a lot you said there that I want to follow up on. I hope I don't forget anything. It's interesting because when you look at sort of either different sports or some of the, like women's basketball, hockey, where it's like when the Olympics are on in the United States, they pause the NHL season to a degree so these teams can go play. Same with women's basketball in the Olympics. And it seems so, from what I'm understanding, like the NBA and then your elements of European basketball just sort of
mainly
EuroLeague just press on and don't really care that these tournament things are happening. And I can see a lot of that I've read a little bit about the bureaucratic infighting that can occur in these sorts of things. So that's all really interesting because it
US had to qualify for the last World Cup, which if they wouldn't qualify for, wouldn't play in the Olympics as well, with the team made up of G League players. I don't know if you remember,
I do.
coached
Jeff Van
by
Gundy coached it,
Jeff.
I think.
Yep, Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy. And it certainly wasn't a guarantee. They played well, they won the tournament, but it definitely wasn't a guarantee. And yeah, like you said, NBA and EuroLeague don't care, but it's reasonable. It's FIBA who should, at least in my opinion, adopt with the times. You can't have the main leagues, the best leagues, taking breaks. At least I don't think that's productive or good for players. Switching also everything, mentality, traveling to Europe in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. That's not productive at all, and I don't think it's good in hockey as well. But they should just have the system where the qualifiers are played during the summer, the entire qualifiers, and of course all of those tournaments, which usually are. But the problem is the qualifiers now for those big tournaments, and World Cup is qualify. You have to qualify. You have to place in a certain place for in the World Cup if you want to qualify for the Olympics. So that's it. It all matters on the on the international level.
So at the moment, if I'm reading what you're telling me correctly, this Croatian game is obviously enormous, but then playing with a full team against Sweden should not be. That should be a game Slovenia wins. So heading into the things that are later in the summer, what are kind of where does Slovenia stand in terms of chances of advancing out of group play?
You're talking about Eurobasket now.
Now I'm talking about you. See, that's why this stuff is. That's why I had you on, because I want you to kind of walk me through this. Okay, so we have the World Cup, and then Eurobasket starts early, like late August, early September.
Yeah,
talk to me about
qualifiers.
Eurobasket. Now, talk to me about Eurobasket now, and what like what I know what the difference is, but walk us through it, and then two, sort of what's expected to happen there, at least as of now.
Yeah, maybe just an interesting point for the Dallas Mavericks fans who care more about the Dallas part when it comes to Luka than the national team. Like as far as his national team play goes, it's 3 more summers that Luka will probably play each summer for the national team, and then I think he's gonna take a break. And that will coincide then with the end of his second contract, which may be also a reason why he'll take a break. But last year we had the Olympics because of the whole COVID crisis.
Right.
The whole international schedule got moved by 1 year. So it's a packed national team schedule now for next 3 summers. This summer, Eurobasket is coming up, and World Cup qualifying games are being played. World Cup is next summer, and the summer after that are the Olympics in Paris. Again, because in 3 years, not in 4, like we usually expected, but now we had them last year. It's going to be in 3 years again in Paris, and I think that is sort of gonna be a mark in Luka's national team career. I think he might take a break after that, especially because 3 summers playing basketball is hard work, and this shouldn't be understated.
He played, I don't know the total number of games that he played this year, but the Mavericks as a whole played exactly 100 basketball games. Like Dwight Powell, I know, because he played in every single one. Luka missed. I should have this up, but it's the point being, it's like if he's expected to play from rough on the NBA calendar, if he's expected to play from mid-October to at least mid-May, and that's, I don't think, an unreasonable expectation. The Mavericks should be a contender to make the second round of the playoffs in the NBA calendar every year. Then you bounce immediately into summer basketball, which is what he's done this year. But
beginning of summer qualifiers, end of summer tournaments.
And there's an interesting discussion. We'll see if we can get into it here a little bit, to where Lucas seems to be the kind of player who wants to be playing on often, like a lot. He'll take a break on social, and he'll talk about it a little on social media, something again. He's not doing, like, Anthony Davis made news for not touching a basketball for 2 months. I don't see Luka as the kind of player who could actually do that, just because of how he's wired. So it's like, it's interesting because we're talking about breaks in terms of degrees, about whether he's going to be playing an extremely physical set of games, or is he going to be training his body in one way or another. This is a bigger discussion, but I mean, European players seem to have teams particularly have better training regimens for youth than American teams, which is why so many American players have injury issues when they get into the league, just because they're overtaxed. Whereas Luka's been playing since he was 14, but it seems to be, it's simply put, it's just less volume. And so it's the next 3 summers, I think, will probably alarm, including this one, will probably alarm some American listeners, but it's what he wants to do. And I think, outside of winning an NBA championship, he has said that I think that winning an Olympic medal would be the most meaningful basketball thing that he has yet to achieve.
And it also, winning an Olympic medal is arguably as tough thing to achieve as winning an NBA championship. For a country of 2 million people to medal or to become Eurobasket championship, to win Eurobasket championship, to become European champions is pretty much unprecedented. It is unprecedented.
Just to give you guys a comparison point. So 2 million people in Slovenia, the Dallas Metroplex area. So Dallas, Fort Worth, and I could send anybody a map that's interested. According to Google, has 7.8 million people. So we're talking about a country, like it was talked about a lot when Slovenia made it to a medal game last year. It was incredible. I mean, some of that's like there's elements of luck at play, because it's like, who are you playing in the group stages, and things of that nature. But it was crazy to watch Slovenia even get that far. So I completely understand why he wants to play, this kind of basketball. I'm really looking forward to it to a degree.
Yeah, and Luka was just a week ago or so, he was at the premiere of a documentary about the national team, about their championship run in 2017, and he was asked, like, how does he compare playing for Dallas or playing for the national team? And he basically just said, in Slovenian, of course, basically just said, I just love playing for both. I want to play. Basically, that was it. I mean, he's usually short in his answers, and like you said, it's something like AD did not touch a basketball for 2 months is something I don't think Luka would be physically or mentally capable of. And he does love to play. And some NBA players did usually, or a lot of times, I heard them in interviews, like Dragic, for instance, did mention that playing for the national team was the best way to get in really good shape, playing shape for the season. And they accredited a lot of times. Goran, for instance, became his only all NBA team after playing for the national team, and was an all-star after playing for the national team in the summer. So there is some correlation. Guys like Pau Gasol, I think Dirk in his earlier career also said that he benefits from playing for his national team. And Dirk is certainly a role model for Luka, we all know. And also, when it comes to international team or national team basketball, Dirk was a legend here as well. And I mean, just for me, still the Euro GOAT, because he didn't just win MVP in the NBA regular season, MVP of the finals, but he was also MVP of Eurobasket and of the World Cup. The poker of MVPs, which I think still places him as an undisputed Euro GOAT. Jokic or Giannis or Luka weren't able to reach a level Dirk reached when he played for his national team. We all seen how good Luka was last summer in the Olympics. I'm sure a lot of younger Dallas fans saw it as well that didn't watch Dirk years ago. But Euro Dirk, prime, not just prime NBA Dirk, but prime Euro Dirk, national team Dirk, was doing stuff with his national team that's, yeah, I mean, Luka hasn't been able to reach that level at last year's Olympics. So there's that. That's how good Dirk was in his prime on the national team, and how bad of a team he carried to medals. That's also something that's worth noting. Fans think it was like lopsided when the Dallas in 2011 played the Big Three in Miami, and that they had a worst team overall, just one superstar. Like the team Dirk had, like I think I'm not overstating when I say that he didn't have a top 100 European leagues player on his team at the time he was doing what he did. Not NBA players, not EuroLeague player, but all of the players in Europe, all of the leagues, not I wouldn't probably qualify top 100 or even less. Right. And I don't want to understate, but it really was like Slovenia played the Germany in 2006, I think, and everybody expected Slovenia would then had Rašo Nesterovic, Boštjan Bokin Akbar, perhaps some names some NBA fans know, Udrih, Beno Udrih, had pretty much a starting five from the NBA, also had the EuroLeague Finals MVP on their roster, so everybody expected Slovenia to win. But Dirk said no. Dirk said no, and yeah, I mean, he was incredible, and that matters also, I think, to all of the players that really want to be great, that want to be considered great, not just in NBA, but in Europe as well. That national team part matters a lot, and I think it does to Luka. Besides that, he just want to play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you reminded me something I didn't follow up with you on, but this plays into a little bit of what you're talking about. So the Euro game, it's amazing what zone defense, like true zone defense, does to basketball. Where Luka talked about this on JJ Redick's podcast, where he said he's often counting steps of guys in the lane so he can know when to attack.
3 seconds.
Yep. And
no 3-second rule in the FIBA basketball.
That changes the math. Everything. It changes so you're not, while Luka, of course, will run pick and rolls, it changes. Like you run a lot. I'm sure you run more plays, more set actions. What's the shot clock length in European basketball?
Same 24 seconds.
24 seconds. Yeah. They're starting to institute that at youth level basketball here. And it all throws me off because it's like 35 seconds. And so the elements of it always confuse me because like I never played with the shot clock in my life. And it's just something that I like my brain has to get used to. So what you talked about there, both with Dirk and with Luka, is very interesting to me because it changes the tactics of what you have to do in order to score. In the NBA, if we're honest, like Luka can get a good shot at any point ever if he decides to. And when you're playing against a zone, that is not the case. Like of course he can dribble down and take a long three. That's not what I mean. But when if he wants anything within 10 to 15 feet, it's often it's just a different course. And I loved watching Luka play. I wish he would advance the ball more the way he did in the Olympics last year in the NBA, but he just doesn't do that.
It's interesting. It's interesting that he did the forward pass a lot more.
He did a lot more. I'm not wrong there. Yeah. It drove me nuts. Where I'm just like, does he not trust his teammate? The Mavericks.
I mean, is the arrangement he had with Carlisle and now with Kidd that they do want him to run set actions. They don't want it. I mean, they don't want them to just run. They want to get a good shot off every time. I don't know. I mean, is it Luka? Is it the coaching? Is it the sort of combination of both? I really do. But it's an interesting point. Yeah.
Well, it's very fun talking about this sort of stuff because I just don't know I really like watching it's just a different mindset. Like I had a fan tease me the other day. I'm pretty sure the guy was European about the Denver Avalanche hockey team. Their crowd is often like caught singing entire songs together, and like we just don't see that in NBA games. And European stuff, you see a lot more just fan involvement. It's less entertainment because I mean, honestly, there's elements of the NBA that are not dissimilar from America's professional wrestling. It's so ridiculous. But anyways, um, gosh, I wanted to ask you a couple more things.
Eurobasket is something we wanted to touch on, like that's
Sure.
coming up. It's this, like I said, Slovenia is going to be defending their title there, and they're going to be. You asked about the group. Slovenia is going to be in a group with Germany. We'll probably see Maxi as well. I think his extension is just a formality.
Yeah.
Mavs are gonna, so he's not gonna be a
He'll at
free
least
agent.
they'll at least guarantee the contract for this season, and then they have plenty of time, I think, to figure out an honest to goodness extension, which I think is likely.
Yeah, and so Maxi might be playing Lucas' friends Mo Wagner. The both Wagners might be there as well. So Germany will
Obnoxiously
have.
good basketball players. The
Yeah.
guard Wagner is a shockingly good basketball player.
The guard Wagner is the good one. I think Mo is will stick in the league for some time
Sure, because he's
because he
big.
also seems to irritate a lot of great
Yeah.
players, not just Luca.
I would name guard Wagner, go Wagner, and then tall Wagner, no Wagner, because I can't stand watching
I'm
him
actually
play.
spacing out on the other Wagner's name as well.
I
on
am
the
too.
guard.
It's embarrassing because I've watched both of them, but that's just sort of the way this goes. So those games, where are those games hosted this year?
I think it's in Cologne, if I'm not mistaken, the group stage, and Dirk will be as well. That's of course a big part of the Eurobasket tournament as well. The official ambassador of this
Mm-hmm.
Eurobasket, and I think he will be in Cologne as well. So I'm sure there's gonna be maybe some triple Dirk photos with
Sure.
Maxi and Luca as well. I'm looking forward to that already. But besides Germany, in the same group, also Hungary, Lithuania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and France. France, certainly one of the favorites for the title. They were close in the Olympics as well. They'll have a stacked team again. They're
Is
complete.
Victor Wembanyama allowed to play in that yet, or does he have to be a certain age?
He's allowed to play. He got injured at the end of regular season, supposedly, reportedly, nothing serious, but he finished the season, I think, in game 3 of the French League
Okay.
finals,
Interesting.
final series. I hope he'll be at Eurobasket. That would be also a good comparison. 18-year-old Wembanyama against 18-year-old Eurobasket, of course. Luca, he's been really good this season. Just by the way, I've seen some tweets and discussions. He wasn't as good as advertised or anything, and I'm seeing a lot of silly discussions about another potentially potentially great European prospect. Just like I've seen them with Luca Wembanyama, if he stays healthy, that's the big issue. With
Wembanyama's video looks faked. The things he does looks impossible. Like Luca, the things Luca did, it was clear that he was a dominant physical specimen who could see the game in a way that his peers and people above him could not. Wembanyama looks like he was assembled in a basketball lab to fight aliens. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. There's some KD in him on offense. He does some of the same things I've seen him do. Seen scouting videos of him this season, not just scouting. He played in Euro Cup and in French League, so that's good level of competition. And he had some struggles. The thing Luca has is strength.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible strength, and that's what helped Luca play at that level at that age. Wembanyama still struggles
Sure.
a little bit with
It's hard to add
physicality.
strength to a frame that long. Like that was one of my, I know we're getting off course here, but I don't really care. Yet when Yao Ming entered the league, he was so physically weak, and the Rockets staff, along with probably the Chinese basketball, association, whatever they're called,
Yeah,
managed to he added so much strength without adding any weight. And
legs like
that
tree trunks.
it's extraordinarily difficult because like Luka, his base is, I joke this. There's an American football player who just announced his retirement name, Rob Gronkowski, and Luka and he have the same body type. Very big, muscular, speed. Yeah, sure, when you really need it, but you don't need speed in basketball. You need change of direction, and that's what and speed helps, of course, but like that's what makes Luka such a just physically dominant player to play, because he's able to change directions so well, while also, frankly, a slight nudge sends people flying. I will never forget the way he moved Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, before Kawhi destroyed the Mavericks, of course. But it's Luka's that kind of special player. I'm really, now that I'm talking about him, I'm looking forward to seeing him play again. Like I was kind of ready. Like I've been enjoying not watching basketball, but now I'm getting psyched up to watch hoops again.
Yeah, and when we're talking strength, that was one of the first things I noticed when he made the transition to senior team, to Real Madrid senior team. I think he was still 16, and I think it was Andrea Bargnani's last season. He played in Europe, and he tried to post him up. He demanded the ball on the wing. He got emptied. The side got emptied, and he didn't move him an inch. Actually, he ended up beyond the 3-point line and settled for a tough turnaround 3-pointer in the last second of the shot clock. And I was just like, it's of course it's Andrea, but it was a 12-year-old NBA vet, 12-year NBA vet against a 16-year-old. He should be able, and a 7-footer, true 7-footer as well. He should be able to post him up. Wasn't able to move him an inch. Actually, Luka moved him a lot further back, and I was just like, damn, he's got some really serious strength. But to get just back to Eurobasket in the group, we talked about Wembanyama, and I hope he's gonna play there. Hope he's not gonna be injured, because that's the only question with him. Just to wrap up that as well, he's gonna be a great, potentially NBA player if he stays healthy and is able to gain weight and muscle mass successfully. Those are the only question marks with him. Other than that, he's just like you said, like built in a lab to fight aliens. And France, even if they won't have Wembanyama, they might have, though, in 2024 Olympics, Embiid. That's actually the French plan to combat the US team and win the championship Olympic gold on their home soil. The Embiid is very likely, of course, if he stays healthy and possibly wins an NBA championship by then. Maybe, I think there are a few caveats, especially with a player who had so many injury issues. But he did say publicly, he sort of stated his intention to play for the national team, and I think the whole process of naturalization already started. So
French team. That's incredible. I had no idea.
Yeah. Is he from Cameroon? I think that's also part of because it's easier to get. I'm really, I hope I'm not embarrassed.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, Cameroon. Cameroon. I didn't. I was afraid.
Hakeem Olajuwon played for the for the United States and Dream Team 2. Like, given enough political will and like actual ties to a country, these things can happen, because international play, they want to make the game exciting. They want to make it appealing. And if there's reasons to link guys back to specific countries, that's fascinating.
That's why Slovenia has Mike Toby and had
the most Slovenian name on earth, Mike Toby.
Yeah, and had Randolph before that in Eurobasket, and both did great. I mean, that's where we have the most problems at the center position. We have a lot of, even in the younger generations and selections, there's a lot of really talented guards, even in the European sphere, not just locally, and potentially also might be someday NBA draft picks. A lot of in the guard 1, 2, 3 position, but really not a lot of tall guys.
Yeah.
And
no,
here we come to the 2 million.
Because it's like that's the differentiator, and we're getting very close to running out of time. But just so everyone, on both sides know, those couple of inches of wingspan or couple of inches of height end up being the biggest differentiator over time for like NBA draft prospect. Because it's, somebody sent me another I think is a Slovenian Real Madrid guard from
Klaužar.
Okay. Yeah. And it's just like, hey, this guy's really good. And it's like, he's not that tall. So
he's good, really athletic, great possible European prospect. I mean, for EuroLeague, might be a great EuroLeague, but I mean, he's got, like, if he would be just like Barea was a complete anomaly. There's not guys like Barea making NBA, or just a couple of people don't get how incredible of an athlete he actually was at his peak. And you got to be that good if you want to make it at that height, and as athletic as Klaužar, let's say, for instance, he's not in that 0.1 percentile of elite athletes that can make it at that height.
Well, all right, we're almost out of time, and here's what I want to do. I want to talk before Eurobasket again. We will have, because essentially the NBA calendar goes draft, summer league, then there is these World Cup games we're talking about that take place at a very similar, actually that take place before summer league, but then after summer league, there's just nothing to talk about until, there's some free agency and then Eurobasket stuff in September. August, September. So let's see how this stuff goes.
Yeah, just wanted to say that this Eurobasket finishes right before the start of the training camp, like a week before the start of training camp in Dallas. So there will be no time for Luka to get out of shape. I do expect him to come to camp this year in playing shape, just for the fact that he's going to be playing Eurobasket a week before he comes to Dallas and starts his season.
Well, guys, it's been Kirk Henderson and Matej Petek. Thanks so much for joining us, bud. We'll talk soon.
Loved it, Kirk. Sure, whenever you want to.